Will the Sangha with great virtue, out of compassion, for the sake of this assembly and all living beings, please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach us how to leave suffering in assemblies and in birth and death, and quickly realize non-birth.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Homage to the blessed, noble, and perfectly enlightened one.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi samyao sambuddhoshe.
Namo sadanto suchedoye alahadi samyao sambuddhoshe.
无上甚深微妙法，百千万劫难遭遇。我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。Supreme and wondrous Dharma, subtle and profound, rarely is encountered, even in billions of eons. But now we see and hear it and accept it reverently. May we truly understand the Buddha's actual meaning. Alrighty, Gwen, thank you for the Dharma request. We will proceed. That's what we need to get started. Let's now invoke spiritual presence with a bit of musical accompaniment. 我们现在迎请乾隆法部护法上身，陪着大方广佛华严经的海会佛菩萨来莅临道场。南无大方广佛华严海会佛菩萨，南无大方华严海会佛菩萨，南无大方Alrighty, moving on, we want to acknowledge country from the perspective of the land that belong to the Pomo people. The Pomo people practice spiritual connections to the earth and to all creation here on their ancestral land for tens of thousands of years. Today we acknowledge them as traditional custodians and original storytellers of these lands, and we offer our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and all First Nations people whose sovereignty was never ceded. 就是说 婆摩人在他们祖先的土地上修炼着他们与土地和万物的精神联系已有数万年。今天我们承认他们是这些土地的传统监护人和原始讲故事的人，并且向他们过去、现在和新兴的长老们表示敬意，以及主权从未被割让的所有第一民族人民们表示敬意。We continue to the bell song. The bell sound wide resounds throughout 100 million worlds. The Buddha's law is heard and spread all throughout the triple world. The wondrous sounds that everywhere fill the Dharma realm with peace. May those who hear it gain the strength to follow in faith the Buddha's path. 众生传3000劫内，佛法让万亿国中，共训其法界和平，利益宝他诺后德。All right. So there we go, and let's take a look. Oh my goodness, we already have more than 100 friends with us today. They come from Ohio, from Texas, from Los Angeles, from Washington State, from Ukiah, from Shanghai, from Hong Kong, from Malaysia, from Taipei, from Fremont, from Sunnyvale, goodness gracious, from Calgary, from Montreal, lots of Canadians here, from Malaysia, from HQ, Heng Sure is here, from Alameda, from Guangdong, from San Jose, from Berkeley, from Northern California. Yep, City of 10,000 Buddhists, Seattle, Montreal, Union City, Shandong, Canada, San Francisco, San Jose Bay Area, Vancouver, Guangzhou. Let's see, where else? From Malaysia, Seattle, Ukiah, Talmadge to be precise. Where else? Oakland, Virginia, Malaysia, Ukiah. Okay, the whole gang is here. Our varsity team is here. Then we switch to Taipei, Beijing, Baotou, Harbin, Hangzhou.哇，4位名封家4名，哇，欢迎你们一家人哈。Where else? 黑龙江、辽宁、深圳、大连，湖南、辽宁、黑龙江，就南海、浙江、黑龙江，东北人最多，每次这样子。安徽、苏州、新北市、陕西，Let's see here， 泉州、湖南，安徽、黑龙江、包头、北京、唐山，深圳、呼和浩特，还有什么地方？南京哦。不是每次都有南京的朋友来了，海南岛Let's see here， 黑龙江、辽宁，吉隆坡、洛杉矶，还有辽宁、广东。OK，我知道师傅都会深圳、上海、黑龙江、台北、山东很多朋友来，从海宁还有杭州 ，OK， 哇，那么多朋友，就说从东北来的多。Certainly, we have the largest majority of our attendees come from Northeast China, and I think they're responding to the seeds planted by our teacher, Master Xunhua. Clearly, Dongbei, and lots of friends also from Inner Mongolia, which is just to the west, and from Shandong, which is just to the south, and Beijing, which is just to the west. That northeastern China is clearly a place of profound faith in the Buddha 就是说东北、内蒙古、山东河北，真的是信根对于佛法就加得很深了。Okay, let's see. Notice the screen. My desktop. Everybody recognizes this monk sitting next to our grand teacher, Master Empty Cloud. This is indeed Master Haideng, Shaolin Si Haideng. He is also in our 这个维养宗 in the Weiyang lineage, along with our teacher. So, 各位认识在虚云老和尚的右手边是哪一位呢？这个年轻的，这是海灯老法师。是的，这个少林寺的海灯，他也是我们维养宗的一位。Okay, very interesting picture because there are so many different ages here. Lots of children. Look at this. Young person here, young boy down here, young boy over here, young girl. There are lay women here. There are Buddhist nuns in robes here. This, I suspect, I don't know for sure the story of this picture, but I suspect Shifu has transmitted the precepts to probably taking refuge. Lots of, maybe ordination, perhaps it wasn't ordination. Don't know why the children are there, if it wasn't precepts or refuges. 各位看看这张相片的面孔，很多小孩，不是那个每一次虚老和尚都他拍全体大照都有孩子参加，这个应该是四众弟子，就比丘尼、有居士、有菩萨、有皈依都在这儿。不知道这张有没有谁认识？这张相片知道是什么情形？也没有什么标题讲清楚。海灯老法师在哪儿？是不是皈依？或是传五戒也可能。有四众弟子，比丘、比丘尼，有菩萨，有皈依，还有家庭，有孩子，很有意思哈。So this story is a little, we don't know the background, but it's a family affair. And there's our teacher. He looks to be in his last decade. This is how he looked from age 110 to 120. This is pretty much. 看老和尚，他好像是那个样子，是最后10年之内可能。Okay. All right. After, let's see here. After, let me start with that now, so that we can make sure we leave time for it. I want people to know what's going on here at Dharma Realm, at Gold Coast Dharma Realm. There is an Amitabha session coming up, a retreat here, starting next week. It's going to be an Amitabha 40. And you can join by Zoom. Down at the bottom of the screen, if anybody wants to shoot the QR code with your WeChat, that'll take you there, or go to Zoom and plug in our number and you can join in. 这是我们这里澳大利亚下个礼拜了，我们都打佛七。16号开始，每天晚上都会我来讲法讲经。如果你们用微信再把这个给扫一扫那个 QR， 它都会把这个时间还有这个 Zoom 的软体可以送给你，你可以参加了。白天念佛，晚上听法，可以啊。So I'll be explaining Dharma at night. People can join in, listen to Dharma talks. You can recite the Buddha's name during the day and take part during the night. There's that. Then following that, there is the following beginning of the year, January 1st. We have a a day of mantra and ringing the bell. 就是这里我们过年这个正月初一就可以敲大磬，然后念楞严咒。Okay, and I don't think you can join that one online, but just to let you know, we'll find out as we go. All right, here we go. Here's today's text. Let's start with the Chinese. Here we go, right here. Okay, 请各位合掌。佛子菩萨摩诃萨，以所集善根，于念念中如是回向。所谓愿一切众生财宝丰足，无所乏少。愿一切众生成就无尽大功德藏。愿一切众生具足一切安稳快乐。愿一切众生增长菩萨摩诃萨业。愿一切众生成满无量第一圣法。愿一切众生得不退转一切至圣。愿一切众生普见十方一切诸佛。愿一切众生永离世间诸惑尘垢。愿一切众生普得清净平等之心。愿一切众生离诸难处得一切智。Okay. Disciples of the Buddha, in each and every thought, bodhisattvas, mahasattvas make the following dedications with their accumulated good roots. May all living beings possess an abundance of wealth and treasures without any deficiency. May all living beings attain an inexhaustible treasury of great merit. May all living beings be replete with all manner of peace, tranquility, and joy. May all living beings deepen their bodhisattva, mahasattva practices. May all living beings perfect countless supreme dharmas. May all living beings attain the irreversible vehicle of omniscient wisdom. May all living beings behold all Buddhas throughout the 10 directions. May all living beings forever leave behind all worldly delusion and defilement. May all living beings attain a mind of purity and equality. May all living beings leave all impediments behind, attaining omniscient wisdom. Okay. Let's do one more line. 佛子菩萨摩诃萨如是回向时，发欢喜心。Disciples of the Buddha, when bodhisattvas, mahasattvas make dedications in this way, they bring forth great joy. Okay. So what to say about this? Does this, I don't know everyone online in our group today. If you were raised Christian, you were given many opportunities to pray. That's the word pray, 祈祷 in Chinese. The service would always say, let us pray, bow our heads in prayer. And the prayer was almost always asking, may the God or the saints save us from trouble, protect us from danger, grant us our wishes, remove the illness, bring good luck and fortune, etc. Grant us success. Sometimes even, may God in his mercy smite our enemies. But that's all the time. You pray. And the prayer is from your heart out. You're asking almost always for the power giver to give you things. The one who's got the power and understood that that's not you. Now, take a look here. I can't speak for what it was like to be Jewish growing up, or Catholic, or Muslim, but as a Protestant Christian, That was what prayer was about. Sometimes not. Sometimes the prayers were very unselfish. I will pray for you. May God or whoever grant you blessings. May God bless you with things. So people had prayer lists and they would ask God to bless them. But definitely it was out to the power and then I want the desired result. Take a look at this list of 10. What is this? These are prayers. They're prayers. It's coming from the Bodhisattva's heart. They make the following dedications with all the goodness that they have cultivated. They're doing something very different, though, than prayer, which is they're giving away. There's no intermediate. There's no power figure that has to process the energy before delivering it to the goal that they're asking for. It's from me to result. That is very different. 因为现在有120多位，然后你加这个越南的朋友、越南文的朋友在那儿听越南话的翻译。我不认识你们各位，所以你们有没有祈祷这个经验？如果有祈祷这个经验，就说基督徒，我背景，我长大的时候是基督徒，所以我不能说犹太教或者天主教、伊斯兰教是这么一回事。我知道这个基督徒祈祷是这么一回事。就你说，请上帝，请天主，请大圣圣贤满我的愿，我需要这个，请你加持，让有病痛的人就没病了，有危险的朋友或者亲戚就度这个危险到安稳的情形，请上帝需要我的要求，因为我真的需要什么什么什么，或者薪水要加高，或是我愿意拿到这个毕业证书，我愿意拿到这个工作什么的，有这个要求。多数是说，我祈祷的对象他有权利，他的势力大，希望他可以听我的祈祷，满我的愿，给我这样子。那个过程是我心里的祈求，他的耳朵听到了，然后他注意了，就给我们满愿。祈祷的作用是这样子，有的时候不是这么自私的，有的时候就说我愿意为这个人祈祷，我希望那个人可以好过这个难过的关，希望那个人可以就说解决问题吧。上帝，请你加倍他，我是为他来求你，这样子。所以呢，是中间有这个能源，中间是那个有权力的神，希望他会注意我的要求，然后满愿了。所以那个过程是有三角性的哈。这个你们有没有注意方才念的10个菩萨的愿？可以说是祈祷，可是这种祈祷，佛教里边的祈祷不同。为什么呢？不是三角性的， 是从我的心，我愿意把我所修的多少善根完全布施。当然，我也有所求，我希望是个很详细的这个目标，可是权力完全是在我这儿，是在我的诚心不诚心，是在我的能权益我的定力多少，我的心量多大，那你就知道成功不成功。跟第三角、第三个人物没有关系的，是不是？不同直接从我的心发愿意得到这个理想的结果。Okay, so let's take a look. Let's take a look at if these are prayers, Buddhist style prayers, without the middle man or woman. Yeah, man. Without the God guy in there who's got the power and may listen to you or might not. How many people say, God never answered my prayers? So here's what the Bodhisattva wants. And this particular list of 10 is very basic. They're very simple compared to some of the transference vows that we ran into in the last transference, number 6. Wow, these are essential. These are just the basics. And it gives us a really clear perspective on what bodhisattvas hope to accomplish with this particular practice. And I am often in a situation where other people of faith are gathered together and they will say, could we hear from the Buddhists? Would you please kindly give us a blessing? And sure enough, on the spot, if you can come up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10 of these vows, these are perfect Buddhist blessings or prayers for a public environment. Maybe change some of the language. People don't know what a bodhisattva mahasattva is or what supreme dharmas are, but you get the idea. You can massage the language so that people get it right away. But look at how wonderful, what kind of wholesome, pure thoughts these are. 我们看看这10个愿，中间上帝天主不在，就是菩萨他已经有功德，他已经做过布施，现在把这个功德又分享，又给众生，直接给他们。成功不成功，看菩萨的定力，看他的三昧力，看菩萨的诚心多少，你就知道了。这个就是这样回向很成功。所以还有一点，我读一读这10个愿，我觉得这是很应该说基本的一些愿力，不是说简单，就是跟第6回向一些的回向愿呢，就是简单，有那个第6回向，还有第5回向，那些愿力非常庄严，好几层的回向的愿力，这个呢是很根本 basic， 非常有用的，很实在的，很确实的一些愿力。如果我们我有这个经验，跟其他的 宗教人士在一起，轮到我们就说请佛教的代表来为我们祈祷，他们愿意听佛教怎么说、怎么想、怎么做。你如果就可以拿出来，好像这10个，如果用那个佛教的用语，好比说菩萨摩诃萨或者 Supreme Dharma 圣法，如果你怕他们听不懂，你可以稍微改。不过这种基本的要求非常有用，非常就说沟通，大家一听了就知道了。哦，这个人的心很善良。Take a look. Okay. May all beings possess abundance of wealth and treasures without deficiency. All right. What's that about? I want living beings to be wealthy. Have everything you need. Okay. That's pretty standard, pretty solid. May all beings lack nothing. All right? That's a good start. Right? 第一呢，希望一切众生财宝够了，什么都不缺，什么都有，需要就有了。那个很地道的，可能就说实实在在的这个愿，希望众生就说世间的财产够用，什么都不缺乏。All right? 清楚。Number 2, may all beings get endless merit. 那这个呢？So let me, I want to translate before I say it first. So, inexhaustible great merit, a treasury. What's a treasury? A treasury is when you open the door and you step in, you go, oh, wow, look at all this stuff. So much. It's all stored up in here. That's what a treasury is. Unless it's an empty treasury, yeah. But we're assuming this is a wealthy treasury of what? Of merit. Where does the merit come from? It comes from doing good, doing righteous deeds, often within the Dharma. So the Buddha Dharma, the church, the teachings, the community, the belief that people have as a result of the church and the Dharma, the teachings, and the community, people's faith grows because they go, yes, this is real. So that's, if you do things that promote that, you have merit. Bringing people to the Dharma, providing sutras so people can hear the Dharma, paying for broadband so that the monastery is able to communicate on the internet, and you provide that strength. Master Hua in Hong Kong printed sutras all the time, creating Buddhist magazines, making sure the Buddha images are clean and in good repair, etc., etc. Those are all meritorious things. I remember somebody once said, oh, you know, that Ron Epstein, he's got a lot of merit. And it caught my ear because, like, wow, okay, well, that's interesting. Why do you think that? And you know about Ron Epstein, Ron was one of the very first Westerners to recognize Master Hua and take him as his teacher and follow his instructions. Went to Taiwan, came back, rented a room from Shifu, then went to the University of Washington and told all his classmates that there was the real Chan Master down in San Francisco and that they should come down and study with him. And they invited Master Hua to come to Seattle, and Shifu said he couldn't do it. They should come to San Francisco. Ron organized the retreat and got everybody there. So being a bridge so that other people can come and learn from a teacher, you got merit. And then, one by one, Ron introduced his sister, who might or might not be listening at the moment, and the family, and then his son, and his daughter-in-law, and of course, his beloved wife. No, whole family got to know Master Hua, moved to the city of 10,000 Buddhas, and a lot of people moved with him. And he taught at the university and for 30 years and introduced everybody to CTDB and Master Hua. There's merit, right? There's an example. So may all beings attain an inexhaustible treasury of great merit, doing good things inside the Dharma. The Bodhisattva says, I want living beings to have that. It's not physical wealth, it's invisible, non-material, but genuine wealth. May all living beings have that. 好，第二呢，成就无尽大功的藏。藏，什么叫藏库？藏是说你打开这个门就说，哎呀，你看那么多，哦，都藏起来了，哇，充满这个好东西，在一个藏库里边，明白？什么样的藏库呢？功德藏，功德藏呢，无尽功德藏。那个第一就说财宝丰足，第二呢，是不是实在的？不是说有这个物质的这种实际性，这是无形的、空中的这个东西。可是啊，你有它，你真的有福，你真的就说有福报的。是什么呢？我就说在佛法里边做善，令其他人对于佛法有认识、有信心。好比说上人在香港的时候，常常印经，就给其他人机会跟他一起去木宽，就说为了印经，大般若经还有华严经，有的你如果看到这个中国传统性的这个书本，那个外边那个名体都是你注意是不是有杜伦法师怎么说复印或者什么那就是师父在香港的时候常常劝他的弟子们一起去印经书，那个有功德了或者呢，你就拥护道场，你就是给出家人可以上网，有 broadband， 他们可以传法，在网络传法。如果你安排那个 broadband 或者 modem 什么的，那就是现代的功德，差不多了。我记得有一个人就说谁有功德呢？谁有功呢？就说一个人 Ron Epstein， 怎么呢？他说他就说西方人，所有的西方人，第一位认识神话上人，就师父是业主，那个一个人去那里租一个房间，跟师父一起打坐，然后师父就派他到台湾去读中文，然后国荣回来了，他就去西雅图华盛顿大学读书。这个他告诉他的同学，旧金山有一个真正的一个禅师神话上人然后他们都请师父到西雅图来，上人回信说我不得走，不可以去，你们到旧金山来就对了那么国荣就带他们下来了那个时候正法就在旧金山真的开始了，然后慢慢的国荣的妹妹还有他的太太，他的儿子，他儿子的太太，他的 6天眷属就认识顺化上人。所以你说那个是有功德，你如果介绍修行的机会给很多人了，哦，那个是你也将来都有机会修行了，反而你修的就会成功。所以菩萨现在他就说，我希望众生都有类似的功德藏。Okay, all right, so we got a material gift here. He's giving away after being a donor, collecting his own merit and virtue. Now he's giving it away as good roots, right? Next is the invisible but equally valid and wealthy treasury merit. What's next? What do you want? May all beings be replete with all manner of peace, tranquility, and joy. All right. If you go out and talk to 100 people and they talk to you, they don't think you're trying to get over on them, you say to them, what's life about? What does everybody want? Chances are the majority of the people, if you get an answer from them, would be peace and happiness. I want to be happy, I want to be peaceful. This time it adds tranquility, which is a Buddhist virtue, right? What is it? 安稳快乐, right? So may all beings have peace and happiness. And pretty good, right? If you can say at the end of your life that you have tasted and experienced peace and happiness along with all the rest, you are in a minority of the humans in the world. And I wonder how much peace and happiness other species have. I am privileged right here where I live. I just raise my head and look out, and I can see animals, wild animals, in this case birds, going through their lives. And they eat birdseed, which is what I feed them, wild birdseed, parrot mix is called. And after they've eaten a certain amount, they behave in typical ways that I get to watch them live their lives. And in particular, the cockatoos, sulfur-crested cockatoos, they're very large birds. And they're related. They arrive in a group, but often there's pairs inside, or they come single. There's men, there's boys, there's girls, there's children. There's males, females, and children. And they play. They play a lot. Today I just saw two brothers picking on each other and just hassling each other the way two brothers do. And one was just, nipping at his tail, and the other one would turn around and nip back, and they would practice like dogs when they're doing mouth jousting. You know how dogs are with each other. There's only play. It's not anger. The birds are doing that, and they were just having fun. And maybe I'm imagining it, but when I come out with a cracker, favorites are saltines here without the salt. When I hand one to the birds, in their eyes there is joy. You can see there's anticipation of the cracker, and they're happy. And it goes away because they're hungry again. But that's the nature of being alive in a living being's body. Peace and happiness, tranquility, peace and happiness is certainly foremost on the minds of most beings. Humans, in our lives, we can know that it's not always joyful. And instead of having a life that is entirely pursuing pleasure and running from pain, humans are among the very few living beings in bodies who can say, I recognize there is a road to lasting peace and happiness. and there's something else other than waiting for the next saltine or the next bit of birdseed. You can actually live in a way that's good for you and good for others at the same time. Take advantage of having this flexible body with choices to benefit others and cultivate the way. We can do that. We see that. We're not drunk with happiness like devas. We're not burdened with sorrows incessantly like so many other creatures. But to see animals experience true happiness, friendship, family joy, you go, yeah, there is, in the midst of short birth, old age, sickness, death, rebirth, there are moments of joy. And often it has to do with giving and getting. The joy for me is seeing the light in the eyes of the birds when the cracker comes and watching them enjoy playing with their relatives, their flock members. And to be able to step back from that and say, how do I find happiness that lasts and that I can give to others? That's a particularly human gift. Bodhisattvas make a living. That's their primary mode of existence, is giving ultimate peace, tranquility, and joy to all living beings. 菩萨我就说第三个，如果你就问一般的人，你说你的人生观，人类你到这里来是为了什么？你就是究竟你希望你这一辈子可以得到什么呢？可能100个人都多数呢，55%可能会说，我愿你得到快乐的人生，我愿你住在平安、没有战争的国家，就说得到安稳快乐。我相信多数会这样子，不但人会这样子，而且呢，众生多数有身体的众生，我们就追求快乐，躲避痛苦，避免痛苦 ，pursue 追求快乐，就跑过离开痛苦。人类人法界，我们这个人类有更深的一个价值观，就是说我认识这个快乐是可以得到，问题是什么？它就走了太快，来了就走了，来了就走了，然后痛苦也来了，好像慢一点就走了。如果在这个过程当中，我们可以认识人有这个身体，这个人的身体，我们有一个特别的机会，特别难得的机会来布施快乐，能布施这个快乐呢？我们可以认识快乐从什么地方来的？真正的娱乐是从哪里来的呢？就是菩萨，他就说哦，我什么时候布施，我自己都会得到一种，就说满足，我越布施，我越快乐，所以那个十行品里边第一行叫欢喜行，十地品第一地叫欢喜地，是属于什么？那个欢喜从哪里来的？从布施，布施波罗蜜。对了，好了，那么我就说，我也看到，就隔壁，我就转头就看到外边，那个阳台有每天都有小鸟来，那个很大的鹦鹉，白色的鹦鹉，它们吃饱了饭，吃了几口，它们就开始玩，跟他们的这个同辈的一群鸟一起来，他们就玩了。今天我就看到2个兄弟，他们在玩闹，互相闹， 他那我就好像功绩，不是功绩，不是嗔恨心的功绩，他就练习 playing， 他就玩一玩耍，这样互相吵，因为他们吃饱了饭，他们很欢喜这样做了，我可以看到他们这样子，然后我也看到母亲喂孩子这种的快乐，这种母亲的爱都是小鸟做的然后我把这个饼干交给一个鹦鹉，那个鹦鹉的眼睛里边知道那个饼干快来了，他们眼睛里边就亮了。就不能说笑，因为他们有个爪子，不过眼睛在那儿笑，因为快乐来了。所以这是很普遍的事。菩萨他专门不是快乐，所以第三个愿呢是很深入的，看起来简单，不过简单是有简单的好因为可以做。我们每一次回向，如果就不是这个的，愿一切众生具足一切安稳快乐，哇，那个是第一流的，真的是无上甚深微妙的回向。So another important point is the simplicity of number 3 here is its virtue. So what is it? If you have cultivated today whatever practices you've got going, did you bow? Did you recite a mantra? Did you practice generosity? Did you serve others? Whatever it was. If you can't remember or come up with at the time any other vow to transfer merit, just use this one. And you can't beat it. This is absolutely first class transference vow right here. May all living beings be replete with all manner of peace, tranquility, and joy. Wish it to yourself as well, the living beings inside. Just if you do this a lot for yourself, all manner of doubts, depressions, self-recriminations, low self-esteem, all that goes away. Because why? All living beings enjoy happiness and peace. So give it to others, and in the process, we get happy. 那个就说你无论我们用什么其他的功能，或者礼佛啊，持咒，就说供养，就说怎么样修行。诵经，你如果记不住其他的回向愿，就这个就可以了。用这个，每一次就说愿一切众生具足一切安稳快乐。你多念了，怎么样呢？你自己一种自卑，你自己一种犹豫，你自己一种不愉快呢，慢慢的就没有了，散失了，因为这种你不是给你心里边的众生，这个具足一切安稳快乐，很好很好的。Okay, now look at this next one. May all beings deepen Bodhisattva Mahasattva practices. That's cool. That's assuming that living beings have some sort of higher practice. What would a Bodhisattva Mahasattva practice be? Well, not necessarily more complex. It might be more inclusive, less exclusive. So Bodhisattva Mahasattva is a leader among bodhisattvas. So this is looking at the whole process of cultivation from, you'd say, the first Bodhi resolve all the way through to Buddhahood, and maybe even beyond, like Manjushri, who was a Buddha already, or Guanyin, who was a Buddha. Maybe it's simply extending the time that you can stay a bodhisattva and not become a Buddha. Like up on the higher levels of the 10 stages. Master Empty Cloud was said to be an 8-stage bodhisattva. The bodhisattva who says, I'm happy to stay right where it's awful. Being alive in 2024 when America could lose democracy and become a dictatorship. That's where I'm supposed to be. I don't get discouraged. I don't get depressed. I go out and talk to people. I talk to people about looking deeply into their hearts to figure out what it is they really want and getting involved in the process of leadership and communal decision-making, mutual respect. So a bodhisattva, mahasattva practice might be talking about respect for all humans, to other beings, to other humans. How about that? Building bridges, that's a bodhisattva, mahasattva practice. So there can be communication and we can realize everybody wants the same. Everybody wants the same. And we should find a way to share with everyone so that nobody is left out. That's a bodhisattva, mahasattva practice. So transfer those good roots. 就说希望愿一切众生增长菩萨摩诃萨业。菩萨摩诃萨是菩萨中的大菩萨他应该说他的眼光比一般的菩萨更广泛。就说他的愿力包括一切，不一个众生都不会跑到他的范围外，一定包括在内。就说你菩萨摩诃萨业应该是什么？打个桥梁。就说明年美国投票选举，就说你可以有的人就很绝望，说明年美国民主性都会停止了如果你听到那个，你就说这个一个国家就是所有的老百姓成立一个国家，所有的公民，我愿意打个桥梁，让所有的公民知道他们的声音都算在内，他们不应该绝望应该站起来就打开心量每一个人都值得我们的尊重爱戴。那个是菩萨业，菩萨摩诃萨业，打个桥梁，对不对？ May all beings perfect countless supreme dharmas. The verb is to perfect, meaning, what is a supreme dharma? A supreme dharma is something that brings goodness to self and others. That's a supreme dharma, as opposed to something that brings harm. And there's plenty of those. So can we make perfect? To perfect as a verb, is a kind of a funky verb. To succeed in, to round out, to complete countless supreme dharmas. So I've got one. Memorize a sutra. A supreme dharma is to be able to, without looking at the book, no matter where you are, whether you're in bed, about ready to go to sleep, whether you are standing in traffic waiting for the CHP to arrive and clear out the mess, whatever it might be, you can, 随时随地, as they say, no matter where you are, no matter when it is, you can bring out a sutra and recite it. I was working with the Heart Sutra the other day, just reciting it. And of course you think, oh, the Heart Sutra, we do it every single day. Well, I tried to do it 3 times in a row without a mistake from memory, and my mind jumped, and I did I say 不垢不净不增不减, or did I skip over to 就说无所得故菩提萨埵, right? So if you can do it in Chinese, do it in English. Memorize it. That is a supreme Dharma. And to be able to perfect it so it's really right. Shifu Master Hua used to scold me the most for being sloppy. Just getting the characters wrong by a couple strokes or repeating the Chengyu incorrectly. And Shifu was brutal, people know, in his corrections of me and a few other disciples to get us to do it right so that it wasn't, so if we're going to be teaching others, that our example would be reliable, right? So yeah, it makes sense. And we just had the habit of relying on Shifu, right? So Shifu would be able to, you could rely on him. You knew that when Shifu said it, it was going to be right. Well, what about when we say it? Shifu used to really pound us and say, get it right. If you're going to use, once you learn these, you want to learn them correctly because the words matter. So there I was reciting the Heart Sutra, which how many times have I recited in my life? And I realized I couldn't remember if I had done it correctly 3 times in a row. So that's to make perfect a supreme Dharma. To be able to recite a sutra, wow, that is wonderful. And our teacher gave us this, he opened this door for us, for sure, for sure. He really did give us an example of valuing the words of the Buddha. Commentaries too, but the words of the Buddha. That is not the case in other places. In other places, you don't get to the Buddhist words, you go to the commentaries. And Shifu said, no, you can't. Furthermore, I want you to explain it for others. Don't be afraid that you're going to make a mistake, say it wrong. And you want to say it accurately, but accurate and interpreting are 2 different things. So he said, here's what we do. 90 minutes of every night, we open sutras and explain them. So we can do that. It's a really, really good Dharma. Did people know, those of you who, I should probably translate first. I'll come back. Okay. 愿一切众生成满无量第一生法。第一生法叫什么？这个动词是成满，把它满足、成就。第一生法，第一生法是什么？那我就说看看今天的第一生法是什么？今年这一代第一生法是什么？我就拿一个背熟经书，一定的。最近我把这个心经没有错，每一天做早课念的心经，般若波罗蜜多心经，观自在菩萨行深般若，我们都会的啊。我就考试自己，我说你念了3遍，能不能念了没有一个字念错了？我就在心里，当然不看本子，念了，哎呀，念了第2遍，我就我有没有不够不进不增？哎呀，不清楚啊。然后我就摇头，你看，第2遍已经不成满，有错了，我就马上在耳边就会听到师父的声音。师父在这一方面，师父会很大声教诲我们说，那个成语要正确，要念得正确，那个怎么会念错了？你写那个汉字，你写个白字，不是这个你就多一撇了，少一撇，少一横，他就这样子念了，告诉我们，他就指在我们。说要清楚，你如果愿意为众生做导师、做灯塔，你如果念错了、说错了、写错了、记错了，你怎么会给他们做榜样呢？然后是的，师父， 就你不可以马虎。他说，那么承满无量第一生法，就说如果我们就把一部经看哪一部，你喜欢哪一部经，当然心经短短的好比说讲到歌。君不见，觉晓无为现大人，不虚妄想，不求真，无名实性即佛性，幻化空生即法身，法身假了无一物，本源自性天真佛。无云浮云空出来，三毒水怕须驱魔，正是相无人法，刹那灭绝而彼呀。绕障妄语黄众生，自造八舍成杀戒这个你看你喜欢哪一个，你就背熟了，那个是第一生法。师父是给我们这个例子，每天晚上90分钟要听经，可以听佛陀的声音，不必依靠注解。注解是可以读，很好的，需要的。不过到讲的时候，要背的时候，背熟经典，你要依赖佛的智慧，佛的声音。所以承满第一无量第一圣法，就背熟经典，诵经背经，不看本子，第一圣法。Okay, now look at these. May beings get the irreversible vehicle of omniscient wisdom. May all beings get wise. May all beings see Buddhas. May all beings leave delusion. May all beings get a pure mind. May all beings leave their impediments and get wisdom. Simple. Aren't these basic? Right? May all beings be wise. May they see the Buddha. May they leave delusion. May they get pure minds. May they leave obstacles and get wisdom. So simple and yet perfect for everyday use. And if we can remember these transference vows and use them, these are, I don't want to say better, but they're super practical and we won't forget them. So what does it mean to transfer merit? When we say, okay, everybody, may every living being, what is that? Right then is when you say, may all beings get wisdom. May all beings have pure minds. May all beings leave their obstacles. May they all see the Buddha. May they all get irreversible omniscient wisdom. Perfect. Those are really, really good and useful. 还有愿一切众生得一切智，愿一切众生普见诸佛，愿一切众生离惑尘垢，愿一切众生得清净心，愿一切众生离诸难处得一切智。你看这个很基本的愿望，可是很实用。如果我们到时候就说讲完了经，听完了经，我们现在回向功德，就那个时候你就说，愿一切众生得智慧，见佛，离垢难，就说得平等清净心，得一切智，非常非常好。所以这个第七回向菩萨有这种的根本的这个愿力是非常好的。如果大家记得到时候回向的时候也可以这样回向，就是第七回向的菩萨的愿力。So when the time comes, if it's no matter what our Dharma event was, if we can at that point remember these basic vows, wowee, these are seventh stage bodhisattva, seventh transference bodhisattva's vows, good enough for me. 菩萨摩诃萨如是会向是发欢喜心。When the bodhisattva transfers these, guess what happens? They get happy. 菩萨 这样子回向，心里就欢喜啊。So 我们心里现在欢喜不欢喜呢？就多多这样回向呢，保证都会欢喜。So what happens? Bodhisattvas get happy when they transfer like this. How happy are we? How happy am I? Guarantee that if we can cultivate and then make these vows, we will be happier. Guaranteed. What follows next are 120 reasons, 120 motives for this transference. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pages of reasons why bodhisattvas do this coming up next. There'll be a lot of weeks while we investigate the heart of the bodhisattva. Lots of prayers here. Goodness coming up. 接下来有12页，原因为什么菩萨有这种欢喜心的回向，为令一切众生得平等等等，120个原因，菩萨为什么这样回向。So 等一等，我们下个礼拜再下个礼拜，我们都很多的这个菩萨的愿，很多的祈祷。A lot of prayers coming up. Look here. We've got, oops, come back here. What happened? Okay, question. When reciting the mantra, the mind's full of false thoughts. In this case, will there be merit to transfer? 他的问题就是说，在念咒的时候，心里很多妄想，有没有功德可以回向？我就再问你，你如果不念，let me say it in English. If you don't, will there be merit to transfer? So you have to start somewhere. And the quick answer is start where we are. Start right where you are. And if you give up or get discouraged, oh, my mind is so full of false thoughts, what's the point? Well, that's the question. What's the point? Why bother, listening to the sutra? So at some point, you have to kind of be like the parent to yourself, be like the grown-up who says to the child, clean up your room. You're not going out on the date until you clean up your room. Oh, Mom, Mother, yeah, clean up your room. And because the child wants to go out on the date, the son or the daughter, they clean up their room. And a little bit of parental advice and firmness, and the child remembers. And then they become what? They become the parent, and they say the same thing that mom said to them. So you have to get in there and say, recite your mantra. My mind is full of false thoughts. Recite your mantra. And if you recite the mantra and do it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 repetitions, 3 repetitions, bit by bit, reciting the mantra clears the false thoughts away. So the doing of it is the purifying, right? 他的问题就说，如果心里很多妄想、妄念，念咒有没有功德回向？我说，你如果不念，那有没有功德？意思是说，必须要开始，要就脚踏实地去做了。你越持咒念这个陀罗尼念咒了，你妄想就少了。到时候我们必须要跟自己的心做家长，做成人，做爸爸妈妈。爸爸妈妈怎么说呢？孩子就说：“我不愿意收拾我的房子，我的房间。”你如果不收拾你的清洁你的房间，你不能 跟朋友出去玩，妈，你必须要做，你才能出门。孩子就去清洁房间，收拾房间，整理，然后他就可以出去了。父母给他一个立规矩，这样子，我们对自己的心要立个规矩，就是说，你先念咒，念10遍，108遍多少遍，然后你就可以就成佛了，可以做你愿意做的事。这个是慢慢的你念了，都会觉得，这个往上少，那就有功德了。Okay, so you have to give yourself an ultimatum if you want to get started. Take a look here. We're in the country of Kucha, and Master Xuanzang has encountered this guy. His name is Mokshagupta. Mokshagupta is kind of the local guru, and he's got an elevated impression, elevated opinion of himself because he's been there by himself. Nobody else who knows anymore, and the king likes him. And so he sees Master Xuanzang coming, and he looks down on him and kind of doesn't respect him. And turns out that he's a paper tiger. He doesn't know anything beyond his own early learning, and he particularly slanders the Abhidharmakosha Shastra, and which is Master Xuanzang's most respected text. And as soon as he slanders it, Master Xuanzang loses respect for him. And further interrogation, and turns out his memory is going. So he is Bugongzipo. He's defeated and has to be quiet. So 这个玄奘遇到这个Mokshagupta 这个人 ，Mokshagupta 是这个秋支这个国家的一个师傅，他自大，其实他的学问并不广泛，然后他就看到玄奘法师看不起了，就不恭敬了，然后那就不要紧，他就不恭敬那个俱舍论，俱舍论是玄奘大师最崇拜的，所以呢，听到那个呢，他就对于这个老师傅呢就没有信心了。然后在辩论对话，就知道这个人呢他是纸老虎，他不懂。Okay, so the king's uncle, who knows what's going on, tells the old teacher, Mokshagupta, in fact, the passage that he thought was not in the text is really in the text. And he's not happy. He's ashamed. 举多疾残云老忘儿，又闻夜不亦无好事. So Mokshagupta is ashamed, and I guess I'm old, I kind of forgot. So Master Xuanzang asked him about other books, no answer. 是为令山雪绿为开，不得进发。燕庭60余日，观眺之外，时往就言，相见不复具作，或利或弊，四位人曰：此至那僧非一丑对，若往印度，至少年之丑，未必除也。也未贪如是。The snowy path in the Himalayas was not yet passable. So Master Xuanzang was stuck in Kucha. He couldn't go on the journey. He stayed there for 2 months. So they would go out sightseeing, and he went in to talk to the old guy, who would squat on the seat no more when he saw him coming, but tried to get away. As soon as he saw Master Xuanzang coming, he would like look for the door. But he would just stand up and avoid him. Too embarrassing. But then he said to other monks who told the story, he said, this Chinese monk is hard to debate against. If he goes to India, chances are he's going to clean up. And even though he couldn't bring himself to respect the master to his face, behind his back, he did respect him. So what happened? Oh boy. You remember the map? We looked at and we saw how Kucha there's a whole basin, the Tarim Basin, and Kucha is on the northern slope of mountains, the northern side of this basin. And it's right on the edge of mountains that suddenly get very steep. And that's the start of the Himalayas. He's got to go over those mountains. 至发日王给首例托马于导俗等轻度送出，从此西行2日，风突绝寇贼2000余计，其贼乃欲公分掌刑重财，险政不平，自斗而散。On the day of the departure, the king offered the master some carriers, meaning porters, camels and horses. Together with monks and laymen, he saw them off outside the city. So just like the king of Gaochang, who sent Master Xuanzang off a long way, 不送不送，留步留步. Likewise, the king of Kucha knows who this is, and he sees him off. So there's now a caravan. There are horses, there are camels, there are monks, there are bearers, porters, and they traveled for 2 days towards the west, and guess what? 2,000 Turkish bandits riding on horses. Bandits. But the bandits were kind of the gang that couldn't shoot straight. They couldn't decide on how to share the property that they stole, so they fought among themselves and then scattered. How embarrassing. If you're a erstwhile bandit and you rob, but then you argue about who gets what. Yeah, I guess that's the story. Bank robbers shoot each other. So they scatter. But look at the traveling troop of 2,000 Turkish bandits, just 2 days out of beyond the fortified walls of the city. 就说他们可以那个山道开了他们这个雪融化了，可以走。那个时候像高昌这个国家一样的，这个龟兹的他的国王就陪着送玄奘法师到了原地，也给他一些骆驼、一些马，还有一些抬东西的人。走了2天了，然后呢，有2000个风突厥寇贼，2000个就骑马就盗他们的东西，然后这些贼他们自己吵架了，就偷的东西了，不知道分给多少，给谁，就结果呢就散了，没有了。哇，你看，就是往往是这样子哈。这个there is no honor among thieves， 土匪里边就没有义气了然后又前行600里，渡小憩，至巴律加国听一许。Continuing further for 600 li, he crossed a small desert and reached the country of Baluka, where he spent 1 night. It was known during the Han Dynasty as the Kingdom of Kumo, including the present Baicheng and Aksu counties in the Xinjiang Autonomous Region. So way out west. crossed a small desert. Now, can you imagine? That's originally he was in Chang'an, then he went through the watchtowers, then he crossed the Taklamakan desert, then he got to, what was the small country with the old monk who cried and came running out without his shoes. Then he went to Gaochang, and then to Kucha, and now he's out in the wilderness. Oh my goodness. So next week, we hear the story of crossing the mountains, what it was like. 下个礼拜我们就跟着玄奘大师过大水雪山，那个是危险啊！现在就依靠自己，还有他的信心啊。Okay, there we are. Don't forget the Fa Hui here in Australia. You can join in online. We'll see you all next week. Look forward to being with everyone once again. Keep those dedication practices going. Simple is good. 各位可以可以念自己的回向愿，简单也可以了就要做而已。Here we go. If people could see how hands and hearts can find in giving unity, may our minds awake to great compassion, wisdom, and to joy. May kindness find reward. May all sorrow leave and may this boundless light dispel the darkness of our endless night. Because our hearts are one, this world of pain turns into paradise. May all become compassion. May all become compassion and before we end, we can bow to the Buddhas and bow to our teacher. Okay. 我们大家一起回向功德。Bow in respect to the Venerable Master. Alrighty, that's going to do it for us for today. Look forward to seeing you all next week. Please stay healthy and safe. Amitofo.
Thank you, Sir.
Amitofo. Bye-bye.